Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing an in-depth and long-term review of the MacBook Pro 13-inch from 2015. This is one of the best laptops for college students on a budget. Right now on eBay it's trending for about $510, and here's some listings as you can see. And on Swappa the cheapest one is $500, with some of the better condition ones costing a little bit more. Although I believe you could probably get it less for the $510 on eBay, just based on what specs you want, if you want to do your due diligence, researching and waiting. Either way, at $510 it's still a great device. It's perfect for the vast majority of college students because they don't need the highest end specs. And I'll show you some of the programs I've used and how it's handled them easily later in this video. As I said, this particular model is the MacBook Pro 13-inch Retina from 2015. And right here are the specs of my particular model. It is one of the cheaper models because, as you can see, it's the 128 gigabytes of storage one. Some people may need more than that, some people may need less. You can put an external drive if you do need a little bit more, but that does slow down speed for some people, depending on the drive you get. It runs a dual-core 2.7 GHz i5 that we'll talk about later when it comes to performance. There's 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is great for the vast majority of people, but some people will need 16 minimum, depending on who you are exactly. This thing is extremely portable. As you can see right here, it is 3.5 pounds. And since it's a 13-inch display, I found it very easy to put in your backpack, carry around. It didn't have too much weight to it for me. The display and the speakers are also really nice. So right here, it is a 2560 by 1600p display, and it looks very color accurate. Right here you can see in YouTube, I have it on 4K, but it doesn't get that high. It maxes out at its 1600p resolution, but it still looks really good. As for the speakers, here's a quick clip from my video. For the price, you probably won't be getting a better speaker plus display combination. The only thing is, with this model, you'll have to look out for delamination. Here's some images of what it looks like exactly, and it has to do with the anti-reflective coating that just wears off a little bit in the early 2015 models. Now mine didn't have a problem, and Apple can fix these for you. There was a point where they were fixing them for free, but I believe that point has ended. So when you are looking for one of these on eBay or Swappa, make sure you look for that. One thing that's been very prevalent given the current circumstances is a webcam. And right here, this webcam is a 720p webcam. It's not great, but it actually gets the job done for Zoom and everything. Actually, the newer models use the 720p camera as well. They're all not great in comparison to some options. You'd like to see a 1080p webcam, but that is what you're working with. It suffices. Now the battery life, and this is something you'll want to look for again if you're trying to buy used. I have a cycle count at 350, as you can see right here, and I actually bought it with under 100, so I've used it a lot. I found that on my Zoom calls class, which lasted about 4 hours, that I had to charge in order to make sure that I would get through the entire call. On regular usage, like browsing the web, email, or doing online homework, I would get about 5 to 6 hours before needing to charge. So it's not awful, but be wary of the cycle count. You probably don't want to get anything more than 500. Apple says to replace it at 1,000, but I have found that people have had to replace it with less than 1,000 just to get better battery life. Now the MagSafe charger is one of my favorite things of the 2015 models. On the newer models, you'll see USB Type-C, but right here it just clips on. It's magnetic, very nice. Apple used these up until 2016, where they switched to only USB Type-C, and I really like it. The charger they give you is a 60-watt charger, and the nice thing about the MagSafe is if you walk over it anything, you don't have to worry. Just comes off quite easily like that. The I/O is also great for the 2015 MacBook Pro. There are 2 USB 3 ports, headphone jack, 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports. On the other side, we have an HDMI, the other USB port, and an SD card reader. This has incredible I/O. It really just lacks a USB Type-C, so I think many people will be happy with that. Now, one of the biggest reasons to use 2015 rather than a 2016, 17, 18 is the keyboard and the trackpad. Now, the keyboard is the chiclet style Magic Keyboard like thing, so you won't have to worry about the durability of the butterfly keyboards that reigned from 2016 to 2019 really. The newer MacBooks, they all have the new Magic Keyboard, which is basically just this keyboard, backlit and everything, so it's nice at night. If you're buying used, then the nice thing about the 2015 is that you won't have the reliability issues. The key travel is also pretty nice, and it just is a pleasure to use. Now, the trackpad, 2015 was the first models they started using the Force Touch trackpads with, and I love the Force Touch trackpads. Now, it's not really a click. It's haptic feedback, and you can touch on almost everywhere you go. Now, the cool thing about it is you can configure the strength and everything, but it feels real. I can't believe I'm not actually clicking a trackpad. Plus, it just works really well. It's one of the better trackpads in most laptops. It's not as big as some of the newer ones, but it definitely gets the job done, and I really like it. So a lot of the school and software programs also work really well on here. We have Microsoft Word, and that works as expected. And then there are some more intensive software programs that we use in college, such as things like R. R's a program we use in statistics. We use this in SPSS. Some people might be familiar with it, but this MacBook was able to take in all my data sets and bring out everything. It was able to draw all the graphs, bring in all the distributions we needed. With SPSS, we brought in graphical things like fMRI data, where it shows you exactly where the activity is on an anatomical brain scan. So just know that this MacBook can actually run a lot of your programs. A newer student may be concerned about if this would be powerful enough, or if the operating system, and many of my teachers use Macs. It's going to vary from school to school, but often our instructions and demos were on Mac OS, and being able to use this helped me a lot. Another huge feature is the Apple ecosystem. As you saw in the beginning, I unlocked my MacBook with my watch, and that's just one of the few of the many nice Apple ecosystem features. You have things like iMessage on here, FaceTime, AirDrop is great, especially if you want to drop files, do PDFs and stuff for school. There's continuation with things like browser, so if you're on your phone, you can bring that up here in Safari. All types of things that make the Apple ecosystem really well. And this, of course, performs great for all those tasks. However, it isn't all everything is incredible about this device. Although I love the device, the performance isn't there with some of the better ones. This is the i5 dual-core model, and here is the kind of performance we got. Now, it's not terrible, it's just not amazing, and it's not for everybody. The multi-core score isn't great, and the single-core score is a little bit better in comparison to the others, but the multi-core score could definitely use some work. If you want a video edit on it, it can get the job done. I was able to do 4K video editing on it, but it would take a long time, and 1080p video editing is probably what you'd want to do if you bought this device. Also, we know macOS isn't ideal for gaming, and believe me when I say that this machine is not an exception of that rule. Gaming on here is not great. Heck, it's very hard to do. If you're an engineering major, you might also want a device that's more graphically intensive for your kind of program, so this wouldn't be great for that. Now, all that being said, the software support on here is one of the best out there. We saw that the MacBook Pros from 2013 or newer will be getting macOS Big Sur, and I expect this MacBook to get software updates for a couple more years. In conclusion, I recommend this laptop to the vast majority of students and those who don't need to game, video edit in 4K, or need top-notch graphical performance, such as people like engineers. But this device is amazing for the Apple ecosystem, great for content consumption, web browsing. The I/O is extremely useful. Most programs will run on this thing quite well, and those looking for a solid budget option would enjoy this device. So let me know what you think about this. If you're thinking about getting a new one, if you're a new student and you're trying to look something up and need me to answer questions, I'd be happy to answer anything in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace.